Kia ora koutou katoa, ka nui te mihi atu kia koutou I tēnei wā. I rungi I ngā kaupapa nui I wainganui a tātou I tēnei wā. Nō reira, tēnā koutou katoa, ko Tureiti Moxon tōku ingoa, no Ngāti Kahununu me Kaitahua hau, a ko au te tumuaki o te kōhao kei roto I Kirikiri roa, and ko au te tiamana hoki o the National Urban Māori Authority. Kia ora koutou.
Kia ora.
Tēnā tātou.
Tēnā tātou. Mihi atu kia koutou ngā rauranga tira mā. Tuatahi mihi te kaikaraki kua tūwhiretia tō tātou nei hui tēnei atu mihi atu kia koe te pāpā. Koutou rā, hari ko te ngākau ki te haramai ki ko nei tēnei rangi ki te tautoko te kaupapa te rā. Ko Helmut Modlik tōku ingoa, ko hau nei te tumu whakarai o te runanga o tō rangatira. Aho ko he hata ke hi te ingoa, he Māori ke. Good to be with you, Whānau. Kia ora.
Helmut, we might start off with you, eh? Ngāti Toa, I'm in Wellington based, lots of activity. You guys' organisation is expanding. And let's be honest, when it comes to the Crown Māori relationship, when the Crown wants us and they need us for a kaupapa, they're going to ring us up, yeah? And sometimes it can be at the exclusion of our next door neighbours or people that we should be working with. This is the continual challenge we have working with the Crown. I'm really interested, Helmut, in terms of how things are going in your space, but also how are you trying to combat, how do I say this nicely? Sometimes the Crown likes competitive forces, yeah, to kind of manage Māori relationships. So I'm just interested in your thoughts there, Helmut. I know you're really busy in Ngāti Toa land. Kai akoe.
Kia ora hoa. Well, Whānau, I actually started my current role on March 20th, 2020. I don't know if you fellas remember, but at 12 o'clock that day, the Prime Minister came on TV and announced he was shutting down the country. So it was a hell of a day to start work. It did provide a window of time for us, though, to reflect on where we were at and where we wanted to go. And the short version of our thinking is that our aspiration, which we share with everybody else, is to do everything we can do to enhance the well-being, prosperity and mana of our people. But not just ourselves, but all the manuhiri who live on our whenua. That's how we were raised. My cousin Taku, who's the chair of our kaunihira, he says, if you come to Takapua, you won't get a cold cup of tea and a ginger nut. To reinforce the point, our old people have raised us to be serious about looking after everybody. So that's a good trick, though, when you're poor, right? Thankfully for us, as a small iwi, we're post-settlement. At that stage, we were post-settlement about 5 or 6 years. And so we had an opportunity to reevaluate to go forward. Our strategy to achieve that threefold vision of enhanced well-being, prosperity and mana was we were going to get off that game, that cycle of asking permission, and we were going to row our own waka. We were going to act intentionally to invest directly in both social and commercial enterprises to enable us to achieve that vision. In saying that, though, we weren't planning, and we haven't ignored for a second, that there are agencies and others who have statutory, contractual, legal, ethical obligations to support that journey. We are just not planning on any of them doing their jobs very well. And I tell them that repetitiously and invite them to surprise us. Some of them, to their credit, say, kia ora, Helmut, we'll take you up on that challenge. Well, kia ora to you, Whānau. And so as we've gone forward from that day with intentionally looking to, actually one of my cousins says, you don't row a waka, or you paddle a waka. Oh, kia ora for that. So to paddle our own waka, and to act in a mana-enhancing way, to add value everywhere we can. What's been a beautiful thing to see is the virtuous cycle of good things happen and grow. And as Atawhai reflected, we've got a taniwha by the tail because, in fact, if I could just do a tangent, I'd like to double down on the tautoko message that John gave to our political whānau there. There's never been a time in the history of our democracy when there's been more Māori in caucus or cabinet than today. And as far as I can tell, there's never been a time when there's been a more progressive platform for our people than under this current Labour government. They're under the pump, and next year's election is going to be a good trick for them to finish off their journey. So Whānau, the double down I'd like to make is that we act strategically, which is the language John used, that we act strategically with all our might to ensure that they get to not finish the job, but to get to the next stage of their job. And so I put that word out to everybody to think about how we can do that. But coming back to what I was saying, the opportunities that have emerged out of this extraordinary time for our people, extraordinary time, has been a blessing to have a small part in following. So 2 quick reflections at the final. I'm done for my intro. When the lockdown happened and everything, shut down, who wasn't amazed at how quickly the money flowed? Hey, all the policies, all the business case, and all the mechanisms for controlling the pūtea out the door in an instant. And I couldn't help but reflect, so for decades we tell you our people are suffering and dying, and we get, no, can't afford it. And then the instant everybody's facing death and destruction, the money flowed. So obviously the wrong people were at risk of suffering and dying before. Now that's a non-trivial observation, Whānau, and we should remember it always in the go forward. And it's a shame Penny's done a runner. That's all right, JT will remind him that's actually not true. There's just not been the will. The second observation, lastly, though, to kick off, that I'd like to make that's been a blessing from the pandemic is this. Late last year, when we were all staring down, if we don't get vaccinated enough across the whole of the Motu, then we're not going to get to a level of resistance, right, where we can normalise our lives to Materoa, and we're going to face a whole lot of death and destruction again. So what happened? Well, the machinery of government did its thing, its top-down thing, right, control thing. What happened? Yeah, not a lot. Hey. And no matter what they did, or even how much money they threw at it, they couldn't make it happen. Here's the observation. Our machinery of government is not designed to deliver equitable outcomes. It's got nothing to do with how good the hearts are, how brainy or how hard the politicians or the officials work. It is systemically not designed. You can't think of a single public policy outcome. Not health, not food, not housing, not roads, not nothing that is ubiquitously available to everybody. That's systemic. And the proof of the pudding is that when we were staring down an existential threat late last year with the surge and the need for vaccinations, they couldn't make it happen. And it didn't happen until trusted voices, trusted faces, and trusted places were informed, engaged, resourced to do what we did, what you did. Now, these are tremendously powerful lessons which we must never forget and which we must make sure flow into the machinery of government, debates, discussions, and mahi that goes forward from here, Whānau, because it laid out the formula for the future. It is in our hands. We proved it. They can't do it. They proved it. There is pūtea. They proved that too. And lastly, we already paid our taxes, Whānau. Hey, we don't have to feel guilty about the fact that we are intimately proximate, familiar with what it takes to close the gap. That's the real reason, in my judgment, why we don't need to feel whakahihi about this. We know they're our problems, our people. Right? That's the thing, the secret sauce for us, along with the tikanga that our old people have gave us. Well, as you can tell, I can get on a roll, so I'll stop there and I'll turn it over to our illustrious panelists also. Kia ora no tātou.
Kia ora, Lady Moxon. I might ask if you any responses or any thoughts in terms of things that Helmut's talked about, but also that general quarter about how we maintain that mana motuhake, you know, when it's a full-on assault in terms of, you know, the way the Crown treats our people. Kia ora.
Kia ora. You know, we've proved to ourselves that we can do it in all kinds of ways. We have shown the world that we are successful in every single aspect of our lives. If you look at kohanga reo, you look at kura kaupapa, you look at whare kura, you look at iwi settlements, you look at wānanga, ngā wānanga katoa. If you look at Whānau Ora and look at what you're doing in your space and place and time, you'll know and you'll see how successful we are. Now, we've been told for too long there is no money. We've been told for too long that, that basically the Crown knows more about everything than we do. And for a lot of us, we've believed that. For a lot of us, we've gone along with that and we've just sort of struggled our way through everything. Well, you know what? We demonstrated, not just to Aotearoa, not just to ourselves, but to the whole world, that COVID was something that we could handle. We mobilised, we got ourselves cracking, and we didn't wait for anybody to tell us what to do, how to do it, and where to do it. We just got up and went, right? And so for me, we've got a lot of work to do. I want to celebrate our 9 years, or almost 10 years. I want to really do that. But honestly, we've got a lot of work to do because a lot of our babies are still being taken from us. A lot of our babies are still, whānau are still being put through the ringer. A lot of our, you know, we talk about partnerships, but what does that really mean? What does it mean? Who has the power and who has the control? So, for us, our destiny is to take back. It's been said many times over this, yesterday and today. We need to take back that power and control. We need to believe that in our families because our whānau are under siege. They are suffering. And as much as we do to give, you know, to feed, to manaki, as much as we do to do that, we're still not out of the woods where they can express their own tino rangatira and Māori mana Motuhake. Because there is a belief that someone else can do it for us. And I absolutely think, you know, we heard it too about an authority, an education authority. Well, I want to see that. I want to see us running things for ourselves in our own way. And we're not there yet. We've got the Māori Health Authority, and yet I hear lots of negative things about it. For it to work, we have to believe in it. For it to be what we want it to be in terms of the answer for health and for our well-being, we have to believe in it, and we have to give it everything we've got to make it successful. Because if we don't, no one else is going to. Because as long as the Crown hold the power and hold the resources, we are never going to be able to express ourselves in the way that we have demonstrated and shown in this space. We have to be able to do that for ourselves wherever we are and whatever we're doing, and for our mokopuna to come. So that's what I'm thinking, and I believe we got the power to do it, and I believe we got the resources to do it, and the only ones who can are ourselves. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Materoa, I'm interested in the part of mana motuhake is the network, forgetting about the Crown, but even amongst ourselves. So as somebody from Tureiti, I've always been amazed at how Te Tihi's been able to bring together what are quite disparate iwi groupings. Sometimes our iwi can be having treaty claims where we're talking differently to each other. But in the Whānau Ora space, what I've seen you been able to do is bring together a network that enables to park those other bigger kaupapa to the side while the iwi come together under Te Tihi. Now, I don't know if it's Jamie too, somebody always talks about thousands of cups of tea, 1,000 cups of tea. And what I like about the metaphor is it's another kind of code word for it's hard work, it's face to face. But I'm really interested, Materoa, if you can talk about that dimension, that aspect. I know they're all here, so they'll be watching you. But this is quite a significant thing, so I'm interested in your thoughts on that. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Well, yes, most of them are here, and actually it's their leadership and their resolve to actually come together in a way that benefits hapu, iwi, Māori community, hapore, mātā waka. It's actually their resolve to do that. Of course, there have been, I think also there are some fundamental things that have been important to being able to come to that table. And even when there may be a kaupapa, say, to do with a claim, when they come into that room about Whānau Ora has provided a neutral table. And so I think some of the things were that when it was in its early formation, when you're all in good spirits with each other, agree how you're going to deal with something when you're not feeling so warmly spirited towards each other. Because we all know that when you're in the argument, oh my God, it's just going to be bad. Agree it, write it down, and when the raru comes, then bring it out. Because then you can, so there are some very kind of pragmatic tools that are required beyond our belief in each other and our willingness, and also lots of shared whakapapa. We all know that. So I think that's another underpinning. But the desire to do great things is harnessed by that collective notion of coming together. I think the other one thing was that at that time when everyone came together, the kōrero was, okay, what can we aim our vision towards as well, that none of us are currently doing and that we want to be doing, and that whānau are also telling us is important. And that kaupapa was housing. That was about, so that's like, 10 years ago or so. And that's been part of the journey because it's helped to bind some of the kōrero around, okay, we will do this together. The other thing is that we actually are very transparent. All the money is on the table. This is what there is. How shall we put that? How shall we slice that? There's no like, okay, you've got that much, but don't tell Tureiti. There's none of that, because that breeds suspicion. And that's one of the tools that the Crown has been very good at doing. They have held us in a position of, oh, we'll just play each other off. Oh my Lord, we're smarter than that. Yeah, we've known that for a long time. And, they actually need us in a way more than we need them. Don't be afraid to say to them, no, I don't want your money. It's got too many hooks in it. Because you know what? They'll come back again. And they'll go, oh, what does that look like? Okay, let's redo that. Don't give your IP away in their contracts. Don't allow them to dominate that discussion. Take control of it. We're entitled to do that, and they require us to partner with them. But the Alliance members themselves have been resolute to be tika and pono about the things that they set out to do. And so now we are in housing, it's smallish, we're trying to scale. It's a bit tricky when you're building off a base of nothing, but we've been able to do some pretty good deals on land that Whānau Ora had, and that's mean that we've built 5. It's a pathway to home ownership. It's a rent to buy model. We're not in those other spaces. Out of the 5 whānau who have been first to go into those whare, and then we attribute the uplift, the capital gains, to whānau. And we have negotiated with banks that actually can be recognised as part of. We set the price at the beginning of the tenancy. It's been a little, you know, try and move and all those things, but 3 of those whānau within a year have executed their ability to purchase their whare. And, you know, they're all whānau who have lots of tamariki. And actually, little tangent, but awesome story, uptown with one of my tamariki, growing tamariki. And I see these tamariki coming towards us, you know, on their scooter. It was kind of cold, and I was looking at them and thinking, man, they must be cold. You know, they just had singlets on. And anyway, we get out of the car, they come past on their scooters, and they go, hey. I look, and they go, you're the house lady, eh? You're the house lady, eh? And I go, oh, yeah, you're Stephen's boy, eh? And he goes, yes. I go, how's it? Oh, it's so cool, Whaia. We're living in our own house. You know, like, really loved it. And then, of course, he finished with, have you got any money for some hot chips? But, you know, how amazing. That was just such a gift for that tamaiti to come and say that. That is like all the rewards for all the mahi that you do is to get that. And of course, we had some change for some hot chips.
That's some pretty good budgeting skills there too, eh, Materoa?
Hey, totally.
Been on the Tatihi budgeting course, no doubt. Hey, I saw all the pakeke there nodding, Dennis and Hare and others, so obviously that was a good answer.
I won't get the sack.
Hey, Helmut, before you came on stage, we were talking about the old scrum analogy, yeah? So forgive me for the male metaphors, but the whole thing about how do we work together, a bit like what Penny said about the national school there, that has all the different types of whakaaro styles within it. Because there is a challenge there, eh, with our local leadership requires mana motuhake, but then how do we work together, because there's a benefit to being tātou, eh, to working together. So interested in your thoughts on that, Chief.
So, as it was alluded to, the treaty settlement process was a bit brutalising for a lot of our relationships with our relations next door, with arguments over overlapping interests. And at home, where I'm from, down to Pukotika, my uncles, Ngāti Tuong, Ngāti Raukau in particular, Tatiawa, you know, had a few rarus. So pretty much straight away after I was appointed, I gave my cousins a ring in Waifetu, who leadership there of Tatiawa, ki te awa Kairangi. And said, boys, uncles had rarus, we sorted, we good? Yeah, we're good. Okay, cool. Let's tighten our scrum, eh? Because we talk to these Pākehās and they always got to be talking to us as mana whenua, and we've got a tight scrum. They got no place to go. No place to go to. Weaken us, divide us, play us off against us. Yep, cool. So literally every fortnight, Monday morning, 7:30 for the last 2.5 years, their chair and CEO and ours, we kōrero every day about what's going on. We've been able to progressively engage with local government, central government agency, have our 1,000 cups of tea. That's a true kōrero, that. When it comes to people, whānau, the long way's the short way. You know, the temptation, sorry for the tangent, but the temptation to shortcut, to be transactional, that's a mistake. Don't do it. Have your speed dates, you know, go have a few meals before you start talking about buying a house together, eh? You know, but that's what To be blunt, that's what the Crown and the parties try to get us to do. Oh, you want to talk about buying a house to get married? I don't even know you fellas. And so pay the price. You know, kanuhi kitea. You know, so we've been doing this for 2.5 years now. We go into their offices, they come to our offices, rangatira ki rangatira, then our ELTs, then taratara, binding our scrums. So that would be my main observation, that if we have the wisdom to... But here's an observation though, it's always got to be a coalition of the willing. It's a hell of a dumb thing to be in a relationship where the other one's moaning all the time and doesn't really want to be there, right? You know? But if we are genuinely man-enhancing, value-adding people, who the hell doesn't want to hang out with that? See, and so that's why for me, the real secret sauce is not about what everyone else is doing. What are you doing? Well, how tight is your scrum at home? You know, how true are you living to the tikanga that our old people gave us? Stare in the mirror first, strengthen up first. Then when you put out the call to hui, well, that's a beautiful thing then. See, people like to hang around people like that. So I'll stop being the kofo man, but, you know, these are lessons that have come to us over the last while. And the last thing I'll just say is that there is a tension in play which probably gave rise to my invitation being here today. And I've pondered a lot about it since JT and the team invited me to be here today. And the tension is this. For those of us who are blessed to still be at home, hey, I live in Porirua. The city came to us. We didn't need to go anyplace. But for the whānau around the motu who that's not their life, the 21st century for our people is not being at home for the more part. Now that's a hard thing for me to think about, because I feel very blessed that my life's been at home the whole time. And I think about a lot about our whānau who are manuhiri, you know, in the sense of living in other people's rohe their whole lives. And what that reality is, and the truth of the matter is, that's probably the majority of our people from now on, at least for a while. And so there is a dynamic we got to work out. And I'm comfortable to say on behalf of Ngāti Toa, because this has frankly always been our way, is that we're not in charge of the whole damn world, but we are in charge of what happens in our rohe. And anybody who is willing, Māori, Pacifica, wherever the hell you're from, if you're going to live in our rohe, we will do everything we can in our power to enable you to enhance the well-being, prosperity of mana of you and your whānau. That's our tikanga, and that's the promise. You heard it today. But that's only if you want to. And if you want to row your own waka whānau, row away. Kei te pai, no ill will. But if you're in our rohe, you know, come through the front door, you know, talk to the whānau, we'll support you any way we can. That's my whakaro. Tight scrums, tika, kei te haere tonu. Kia ora.
Lady Moxon, I'm interested in your tips for how you bring our people together. You're leading a lot of really important kaupapa, and there are obviously differences of opinion. You know, when we go to the tribunal or somewhere and you're fronting it. So what are your secrets in terms of how we bring our whānau together?
Yes, there's always, you know, we live in a very complex world, don't we? You know, we've got urban Māori, we've got the home people who look after our papakainga, and it both have a very important part to play. And we've got iwi in various places and at various stages as well. Some are much more, you know, ahead than others and all the rest of it. But for me, the thing is to keep your eye on the kaupapa. And if we put ourselves in the fray and think that it's about me, then we get lost. and we fight, and we don't, and we can't come back together. But if the kaupapa is the same, and we're looking towards what it is, you know, we heard a lot about the journey. You know, well, actually, I'm more for the destination. And the reason I'm more for that is because if you keep your eye on your vision and where you want to go, then you'll get there. And it doesn't matter if you've got different ideas and different ways of thinking about it or doing or whatnot. But if we keep that in mind, we will, what is it, paddle, if you know, in a waka. We'll paddle in the same direction. And that, to me, is the key, because we will have differences. We will have differences of opinion, and we work very, well, we work very hard. I was actually accused by my, funnily enough, some of them are here, of our collective, but I was accused by my collective of being too fair.
Too fair.
Too fair. You know, because I had tried to look after everybody, but in actual fact, some people thought that that was being unfair to others. You know, it's the weirdest thing, but we have to navigate it. It's like navigating our own lives. We have to navigate it in the best way we know how, and with the people that we're surrounded by. Because, you know, I often say about leadership, have a look behind you every now and then to see if anyone's following. Because if no one's following, you're there by yourself. So you're only leading yourself. So every now and then have a look to see who's there. And then you'll know. You'll know whether you're a tika or pono, as we've said. Or that this is about all of us and not just some of us.
Yeah.
Or just about me. Yeah.
Before I go to the floor, and I'm actually going to go to the real floor here, because this is a panel of rangatira, I'm really keen on just, from all three of you, an enduring memory that's a great one from COVID, from your experience in COVID. If you've got one or a couple of memories of things that just happened that you thought, wow, this is awesome. Materoa, we'll start with you.
I'm just trying to turn over my memory. Oh, jeez. Maybe too hard to call, because I think every day there were new memories that were created, because every day there was amazingness to be seen. So to choose one or two, I mean, there were some very touching things that occurred, and that I think also there was even a wider realization that within our communities we were able to reach even beyond what we thought we had already reached. So even though we thought, oh, you know, we know whānau, we know, we learnt, no, we didn't. And we took that and we thought, this is fantastic in that way, because we got deeper and closer to our communities. So, yeah, I suppose it's a bit like the look behind and make sure, but it's very honouring.
Kapai. Helmut.
So in 2021, after a long year and a half-ish of our health and social service teams coping with the pandemic and everything that had come with it, the leadership of Capital Coast District Health Board turns up and comes to Porirua, comes to Takapuaia to talk to me and my team. Okay, kia ora, what do you fellas want to talk about? So they asked Ngāti Toa to lead the preparation for the expected surge that would overwhelm Porirua, and for us to stand up on behalf of the whole 65,000 people in Porirua, the health and social service response that would enable a sensible response to that overwhelming surge. My leadership team is sitting there behind, and they're going, and And so, of course, I said to these fellas, yes, we'll do that. At first I said, why did you ask us to do that? And they said, who else are we going to ask in Purirua? That was a good rangatiratanga moment. Let me tell you that. So who else are we going to ask in Purirua? Yeah, that's the right answer. Okay, kia ora. So I said, and then I said to them is right, so if we say no, who's going to do it? And they say, we don't know. Yeah, that's also the right answer. And so I said yes. And I said, but you fellas going to pay every damn bill in advance to go forward. Now, I share that because that's jaw-dropping to me. That the machinery of government had got to the point that they knew they couldn't do what needed to be done in a high deprivation community, and they came to an iwi. So you fellas can please help us. Oh, yep. And so we did that. That's the biggest takeaway for me of the crossroads moment of what's happened through COVID.
Lady Moxon, do you have an enduring memory from that?
Yes, I do. And that was seeing my team and our collective rise to the occasion. Just rise to it and just do what needed to be done everywhere. And that was just amazing. But the other thing was seeing all those Bentleys and all those flash cars. We even vaccinated one of the richest people in the whole of Hamilton. Just seeing them come onto the marae and experience what it meant to be a part of our Kirikiriroa marae and the manaakitanga that we were able to provide and give everywhere. That to me, that was magnificent, because I think, and I believe this is probably true of a lot of us, that we did more for race relations in this country than we have ever been able to achieve since the signing of Te Tureiti o Waitangi. Kia kaha.
Materoa, I'll give a story about Te Tihi, because I was in the COVID Command Response Centre in Wellington, Vodafone, working for Lil Anderson, and you know, every day there was a daily report. Now, you will all know this. Wellington was blind. It did not know what was going on. And it couldn't rely just on police reports. Yeah? And the other challenges, and you all know this, we've had 20, 15 years of transactionality. So you couldn't get a contract manager ringing up someone in Ruatoria, what's happening on the main street, bro? You know? So I remember being in a meeting and somebody said, oh, what's happening in the Motuhake Whānau region? Oh, no, it's very, very good. Councils have got this alliance. Somebody had said this. And I said, no. The councils didn't organise that alliance. The iwi organised that alliance. And how do you know? Oh, because I'm from those iwi. So it was unfortunate that people were mixing their words. But what was good was that it was being recognised, and everybody did know who was local or who had connections to Motuhake Whānau region. It was the Te Tihi Alliance. So I just want to acknowledge that, Materoa. I tino kōrero tērā. We've got one question on here, and I'll pass it to the panel. And then if there's any questions on the floor, be interested. So this is really about how do we stay on kaupapa in terms of you know, whether it be an individual, organisation, collectors, and as a wider movement. Yeah.
I was in a leadership class thing recently that Downer was running on our marae. Go figure. And one of the students asked me the question, have you ever doubted that the mahi that is going on in the Māori community, and Ngāti Toa particularly, is right and is going to succeed? And I said honestly to this tauira, I said, no, I have no doubt whatsoever. Why is that? And I said, because we are committed to operate within the framework of tikanga that our old people gave us, that have sustained us for thousands of years and beyond. And as long as, you know, we hold fast to that, and we have humble hearts to allow them to nudge us from time to time when we need nudges, then that will happen. And I've got no doubt about that. That's my whakaaro.
Materoa?
Probably a similar whakaaro, and I guess be open, and I guess I think about some of those sayings, can you lie straight in bed at night? Have you done the things that are right? And staying on the kaupapa, I'm probably with Tureiti on that. We've got to look out. Yes, the journey is part of that, but we've also got to look up and out, not just out, but up. Because there is a lot of amazingness, and although there are a lot of challenges in our whānau, there is also a lot of amazingness that we should help where we can to facilitate the flourishing of that. Kia pua wai, ngā whānau.
But collective impact has been something that I have really, really enjoyed working with our partners and doing things together with them in a combined vision and belief that we can change things in our own way and create that transformation in people's lives. When somebody who has never had a certificate in their life but gets a certificate of attendance, and it just changes the whole ahua of that person. And when they do something like carve a piece of wood and then put their whakapapa and their whakaaro into it and then give it to their significant other and everybody tangi, it changes everything. And that's the beautiful thing about, if you even in a whānau, a whānau should have common goals, should have a collective view of what they want to achieve within that year. And if you stick to that, just as we have supported whānau to stick to that, you can do anything.
Yeah.
Kia ora whānau. Actually, kua kapi tō tātou hui I tēnei wā. Can we please be upstanding and pēki paki for our panel? Helmut, Materoa, Lady Moxon.